fan and get excited even when come race day, the car's lacking and we're struggling. It's just a way to continue my support and my excitement for NASCAR and Dale Jr. even when the team's not running well. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that. But that was one of the core reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is that I'm such a fan of Dale Jr. I've been there through the good times and the bad. But I've also found a way to always make sure that I get excited about the races every weekend, that I continue to really have fun even when they're not running great. And that's because I follow the paint scheme stuff and I really get into it. If I have the chance, and when I have the chance to interview Dale Jr., I really want to talk about which paint schemes he specifically designed and which ones he didn't. Like this paint scheme for the Daytona race and for the All-Star race, I'm going to almost guarantee you that Dale Jr. had a huge hand in designing those paint schemes. They look like Dale Jr. paint schemes. They have a bit of a throwback sort of aesthetic to them. They're not as flashy as you see in the past. When you look at the one that was done for Mountain Dew a few weeks ago in the promotion, yeah, I'm pretty sure Dale Jr. didn't design those, or I'd be surprised if he did. When you look at some of the AMP paint schemes or the Halo Guardians paint scheme that he did last year, that paint scheme was probably one that was given to them that he might have had a little hand in tweaking, but more than likely, he didn't have a huge say in it. So that's one of the things that I would ask him about. But again, it's all a part of my fandom when the team isn't running great. You walk away from a race going, I wish that had gone better. Well, it's like, you know what? What else is going to happen this week? And like this week, after the Kansas run, 15th, you know what? We got new paint scheme news. And that was cool to see. We got a preview of the Stars and Stripes car. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a background as to why I get into this stuff and sort of how it relates to my overall fandom of Dale Earnhardt Jr. So again, if you want to get a preview of what I've been yakking about, you can go to either NASCAR.com or DaleJr.com, and you can check out both of those paint schemes. Just a preview on the Stars and Stripes one for Daytona. All right, let's talk about Dover. I really thought before recording today's podcast that I would have something better to report, especially based off of what happened on Friday. They unloaded off the car. First practice was obviously devoted to qualifying, and there was weather in the area. Everybody knew there was wet weather in the area, and so the team was obviously focusing on making sure they got a good qualifying run. And it turned out being one of those moments where I was almost doing a rain dance. I'd gone out to lunch with Melinda because it was our 16th wedding anniversary, which is interesting too because my fandom of Dale Jr. and NASCAR pretty much coincides with my wedding anniversaries, off by like 1 year. 2 years. No, 1 year. 1 year. It was 1 year after we got married that I really started to get into NASCAR and became a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan. But Dale Jr. ended up posting up the second fastest lap during that first practice, and then the rains came and it ended up washing out practice. And so, Dale Jr. will be starting on the pole, outside the pole, depending on which line Kevin Harvick picks, because he had the fastest lap during practice. And I really thought that this was going to be indicative moving forward of how the weekend was going to play out. I really thought, all right, this is what we needed to see. And it looks like these guys have come off the truck fast. And while that certainly was the case with Dale Jr. posting the second fastest lap, I think there's also a level there of, I think a lot of other teams didn't get a chance to go and run some fast laps based off of what we saw in the rest of practice. So while I was assuming it meant the car was fast because you don't see Dale Jr. qualify, you haven't seen him qualify well. It's been one of their biggest weaknesses this season. I think it's partly also due to the fact that, unfortunately, a lot of the other cars just didn't get a chance to put up a fast lap because of the weather. And like I said, that was certainly indicative of what we saw the rest of the practices. In neither in none of the practices afterwards, whether second practice or happy hour, did Dale Jr. land in the top 10 fastest lap averages. Now, it is possible he never ran a consecutive 10 laps. I know that first practice he was struggling really, really bad, loose in and loose off, which seems to be just a indicative of what they're dealing with every single week. And he posted the 9th fastest lap, but again, you can't look at that during practices. You got to look at the lap averages. In happy hour, he was lacking grip, ended up posting like the 21st or 25th fastest lap. Again, not that worried about it, but is nowhere. It isn't on the speed charts in terms of consecutive 10 lap averages. Now, I don't think that means that he ran 10 consecutive laps, but was slower than everybody else. He may not have run, and that's my guess. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he never ran a consecutive 10 laps on the track, and therefore that's why you never saw those speeds on there. Either way, it makes it really, really difficult to predict how the car is, also due to the fact that Dale Jr. hasn't commented. He's the last time he posted anything up on Twitter was Friday. Well, it was about 12 to 13 hours ago, and this is being recorded in the middle of the day on Saturday. And the last thing he posted was just that he qualified outside pole for Sunday. He has not posted anything on Twitter all weekend long, and usually that's not a good sign. Usually if the weekend's going well, and I've said this before, and so far in terms of prediction, this seems to be standard. If the weekend's not going well, Dale Jr.'s not tweeting a lot. It seems like when he's at ease and things are going as they should and the car's got some speed, he's very quick to hop online and to tweet out, hey, things are going good. I would anticipate sometime before race day he'll make some comment. But as it stands right now, he's been silent on Twitter. So it's really hard to gauge what we're looking at this weekend just based off of the second fastest lap on Friday with weather in the area. So what's my prediction come Sunday? I'm going to play it safe and just say top 10. And really, I probably, if they had qualified, done regular qualifying, I probably would have had to base my prediction off of where they qualified and probably wouldn't even get in the top 10 the way the team's been running. But the fact that he's starting outside of the front row, so he's starting in that beginning group, the fact that, or with the leaders, I should say, the fact that the times are very close. I mean, all the cars are so close right now in terms of lap speed. As long as they don't make any mistakes and we don't have a problem with a hung-up lug nut like we did last week and getting in and off a pit road, which is really tricky at Dover, I don't see any reason why any Hendrick Motorsports car can't keep it in the top 10 if everything goes their way, even if they don't have a fast car. And I guess that's probably ultimately my point. For Hendrick Motorsports, as I kind of bookend the podcast and the show this week based off of what I said earlier, for Hendrick Motorsports to be lacking speed, for any car starting in the top 5, any Hendrick Motorsports car should be able to keep it in the top 10. I really wish I had more to go off of, and I wish that I had more to hand you as a Dale Jr. fan heading into this weekend, but I really don't. It's a bit of a mystery when you just don't have the information available. He hasn't been doing any interviews on TV. He's not tweeting out anything, and I'm getting nothing off the speed charts. So, with that, enjoy the race. I'm going for top 10. Anything other than that is bonus, right? But we're fans of Dale Jr. I'll certainly always be a fan of Dale Jr. and support the team through the good times and the bad. And to me, that's that's what makes a true fan. So you want to get hyped up for the race? Like I said, go to the websites, NASCAR.com and DaleJr.com, and check out the new paint schemes coming up. And thank you for checking out the podcast this week. As always, if you want to drop me an email, you can do that at talkshownerd@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at John Justice. That's Jon at John Justice. And subscribe to the podcast. If you're a Star Wars fan, you can get that podcast too. And if you want to hear some good conservative talk radio for my weekly show, I post up all of my show commercial-free on iTunes every single day. So if you follow politics at all and you like what I have to say about Dale Jr. and you want to hear my thoughts maybe on Donald Trump, then you can check out the podcast on iTunes. Just search for The John Justice Show and My Nerd World. They're all available there. You can pick and choose what you want to listen to. So I hope it's a great race tomorrow. I hope I'm wrong. Would love to see that nationwide blue and silver 88 in victory lane. We certainly need a win this season. Would love to see Dale Jr. turn it around. We will just have to wait and see because it's a bit of a mystery heading into tomorrow's race. So until next week, is next week the All-Star race, or are we getting a break next week? Let's see. Nope, next week's the All-Star race. All right, so I'll do a podcast for next week in the All-Star race as well, just a bit of a preview. I do like the changes that they've made, and we'll talk about that on next week's podcast. What they're attempting to do to make the All-Star race more exciting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and I'll break that down heading into next weekend to give you a good All-Star weekend preview. So until next week, enjoy your Sunday, and go Junior.
My Nerd World.
And finally, one of the most unusual pre-race prayers you will ever hear.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you've brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for Jim Performance Technology and the RO7 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Bless the drivers unusual tonight. Boogity, 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 amen. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. And my two children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers unusual tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Bless the drivers unusual tonight. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife. Boogity, 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 amen. Boogity, 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 amen. Bless the drivers unusual tonight. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife.
My Nerd World.